Good morning, everyone. We'll call the the Truckee Meadows, I always screw that up. The Truckee Meadows Fire Board to order for Tuesday, June 19th. June 19th already. Where is this year going? And we'll start by a salute to the flag, and we'd like Adam Mayberry, who's new for us and old for us at the same time, to salute to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Mayberry, thank you and welcome. Okay, with that, we'll go to Madam Clerk. Could you call roll?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Marcia Burke-Bigler, Chair.
Here.
Kitty Jung, Vice Chair.
Present.
Bob Lucy.
Here.
Vaughn Hartung.
Present.
Jeannie Herman. Deputy District Attorney David Watts-Fial.
Here.
Fire Chief Charles Moore.
Here.
I'm Nancy Parent, County Clerk. You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Chief?
Item 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners' agenda. The district will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person.
Thank you, Chief. And I see no one on the public comment list. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment and bring it back to the board and do Commissioners and Fire Chief announcement. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand that we will not have a quorum on July 17th, so we would propose to move the Fire Board meeting to July 24th.
Okay. The 24th? Oh. Okay, so the next fire board, that's the next fire board, right, in July, so next fire board will be the 24th. Anything, any additional comments, Chief? Anything else you want to add?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioners, I see nobody signed in. Yes, Commissioner, Vice Chair Jung.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to have brought back to the agenda a 3-hour rule in which staff can explore a partnership with REMSA, Renown, and Truckee Meadow Fire Protection District to start improving upon our rural areas in that golden hour, the first hour that a major accident occurs. I asked the chief to watch on Netflix a documentary called An Hour to Save Your Life. It's from the UK, but they've really taken it to a whole next level of actually doing like heart surgery on the street somewhere because they have their cardiac surgeons with them in either the helicopter or the ambulance. And it's especially important when we're out on these frontier areas in which most of the time we can't even get there within that hour. So if you can put that on the next agenda so that then this board can decide whether or not we want to spend the time looking at it. But I encourage everybody to watch the show. It's really, it's reality TV, and it's on the ground and real, and clearly you're into that, so go ahead and load that up on your Netflix. But I would like that 3-hour rule on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll be brief. Today is June 19th. You're right. My father, who passed away in 1983, this today would be his 100th birthday if he were still alive. So I'll say it again during our regular meeting, but happy birthday, Dad.
Absolutely. Happy birthday. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Lucy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to point out one thing. I do want to point out that we do finally are now functioning out of Station 14. Is that correct, Chief?
That's correct.
Our brand new station is online and operational. We're very happy. This has been a long time coming. This board has been very, played a major role in making sure that has come to fruition. And those in District 2 are very happy and thankful for this board and obviously this district's role in getting that station stood up. I've talked to some of the firefighters that have been stationed there since it's been open, and they said it's an amazing station, and they're very excited to have that as a new tool in the tool bench, so to speak. I think it's going to be a very functional station, and we're excited to have it in District 2. And we have a grand opening coming up, don't we, out on the calendar yet, Mr. Moore, Chief Moore?
Yes, sir.
What date is that?
July 21st.
July
Saturday.
21st. So hopefully we'll have everybody come out July 21st and join us and participate in the ribbon cutting and the grand opening of that station. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucy. That's great news. Station 14, huh? Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, then we will close number 4 and go to the consent agenda. Chief, anything you want discussed, removed, changed?
Ms. Vance may have a comment on item C, and
C?
that just as a brief clarification.
Okay.
Cindy Vance, Chief Fiscal Officer for the record. On, which one is that one? It's the payroll. Just to clarify for the payroll, this is, we're requesting authorization to open account under the county's umbrella of their banking services for the payroll services.
Okay, good. Commissioner,
that different?
Vice Chair Jung?
How is that different? What were you doing before?
We currently don't have a bank account.
Oh, okay.
Individual for Truckee Meadows. So this would be with Chief Moore and I's signatories for the just payroll services for issuing the payroll checks and other payroll tax checks
So how did they get paid before if you didn't have?
through the county. So it comes out of the county's treasury bank account. But we have to have a separate bank account so that the payroll service can draw and issue those, since we are opening a payroll service or going with a different payroll company than
Okay, so you're
going
switching
through the
payroll
county.
companies. Okay. Thank you. I do want to point out, Madam Chair, while I have the floor, before we vote on consent items, item 5H, we are accepting a $100 donation from Reno residents Mike and Marlise Berry to support the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Station 14A shift staff. And we are very thankful for your thoughtful contributions and the fact that they see us as their partners. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jung, and thanks for that explanation. That was good. Okay, Commissioners, any comments? Anything pulled? Do I have a motion? I see no public comment.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Please, oops, I didn't vote on it didn't go on the screen. Please affirm your vote up above. The motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting. Thank you. Chief, number 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 6 is IFF Local 2487 report, and President Satterfield is here to give you an update.
Mr. Satterfield, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ian Satterfield, Local 2487 President for the record. Good morning, all the commissioners. Hope everyone's well. I have a short couple things to say, and don't want to steal Chief Moore's thunder, but I do want to congratulate, as you can tell, we have our new recruits that just got out of the academy in here today for their badge pinning, and I want to welcome them all to the family here, because it really is a second family when you live 48 hours with another group of people. So it doesn't just include them into the family. I want them to know that it includes their families as well as their families grow, and ours does too. So I'm really excited to have them as part of ours. The second little piece to it, I want to give them a little bit of advice and to start their careers off, and that is if you open it, close it. There's a reason why we have roll-up doors on the engines now, because people can't follow that rule. So if you open it, close it. There's a few stories behind that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. The second piece, I wanted to take this opportunity and time, actually for all the citizens of Washoe County, and that is to really get out there and start looking at doing your defensible space. It's not just defensible space, but it's also the maintenance piece. So don't forget that it's not just a one-time thing, but it is something that needs to be done yearly. And Chief Moore is working hard to give the opportunities for people to get rid of their dispensable space waste, and I commend him on that. But the other piece to this is the work that's being done by the citizens doesn't just only protect their homes. It protects us as firemen. It allows us the opportunity to get in there and do our job in a safe manner. When it's not done, it makes our jobs a lot harder. So I just want to remind Washoe County, encourage all the citizens to get out there and do their defensible space. And that's all I have for today, unless you guys have any other questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. Any questions for Ian? I see none. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, Chief is now moving down to the front to do the introductions of our new and badge pinning of our new employees.
I'm very, very pleased to introduce to the board our newest employees who went through grueling academy, challenged them mentally and physically. And my words at their commencement was that before they had their badge on, it was really all about their accomplishments. They're very, very difficult. 12 weeks in the academy. Once that badge goes on, it's no longer about their accomplishment, it's about service to the citizens. So that badge goes over their heart, and the focus really changes to the citizens that we serve. So I also want to introduce Mr. Bill Chan, who's here to represent Senator Cortez Masto. And Mr. Chan, if you wouldn't mind coming down, he does want to honor our new employees on behalf of Senator Cortez Masto. So Mr. Chan, I'll give you the microphone first, and then I'll follow.
Not expecting this, but thank you, Chief Moore.
Welcome, Mr. Chan.
Thank you, Commission. I just wanted to thank the new recruits and congratulate them on their accomplishments and completing the Fire Academy, and to thank them for their commitment to providing public safety for all of us here in the community. So thank you all. And I have certificates from the Senator's office, but I'll let you take the floor.
Thank you very much.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our new employees. And so when I announce your name, if you just step forward a little bit so they can put a face to the name. Firefighter Paramedic Brandon Akers. Firefighter James Brumfield. Firefighter Kimberly Jarding. Firefighter Sarah Nemeth. Firefighter Aaron Reynolds. Firefighter Ryan Scannell. Firefighter Paramedic Jeff Solar, and Firefighter Paramedic John Williams. So with that, we'd love to have a picture with the board.
Welcome and thank you. Okay, a picture.
Right this way.
Well, it's quite an honor, and we're so happy that you guys have joined us, all of you guys being the ladies also, and really happy to have all of you with us. So thank you very much for joining our team. Chief.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 8 is the Fire Chief's report for discussion only. A is an informational briefing on operational matters and activities for the month of May 2018. We did not have a summary of the calls this month because we're continuing to change the format. I
Okay.
thought the format was just a little difficult to read, so we're going to make that even simpler. So we'll include that in next month's report.
All right.
Item 1, the Tumwa agreement. I did get a draft from Tumwa. I'm having Dave Solero of the county staff and Dwayne Smith review it for me. They state that they aren't able to do hydrant testing this summer, but they will begin in January of 2019. So staff is going to do hydrant testing this summer and get us caught up, because last summer, because of the wildland fire frequency, we simply were not able to get to that. So we'll look forward to bringing that agreement to you here within the next month or two. The community report update, I put this as a draft for you to consider anything that you might like to add to this, and please consider it a draft. When we have more information and your comments to include into this, we'll bring it back for you for a final approval, and we'd like to issue it out on our website and in other means. What's notably missing is a photograph of our news station, so we'll certainly include that. But I wanted to give the board a chance to see if there's anything else that you'd like to include in this report before it's published.
It looks great. I really like it. Commissioner Hartung, did you have something you wanted to add?
I do, actually.
Would you turn your mic on, please?
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder, Madam Chair. I apologize.
No problem.
While I recognize, Chief, that this is about us, it might be nice to have just a smattering about how REMSA is also responding and how we're assisting in that EMS process.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Vice Chair Jung.
Yeah, Chief, this is beautiful. And my question is, to whom will you be handing this out to? How will we circulate this? Do we have an address for each of the people that pay for the fire stations and the firefighters? Or how will we distribute this?
We're not intending to print lots of copies on this simply because of the expense, but we'll print some copies. Certainly, we'll do what the board directs. We'll make some available here at our headquarters in the county, certainly distributed to the press, to CAB meetings, and limited distribution of the printed copy, but the digital copy will be available on our website and through Twitter.
And, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just wonder if we shouldn't send it to every household so they know what their taxes are paying for, and maybe they would be a little bit more hesitant to agree to be annexed. I think we could use this to our advantage. We haven't done a lot of PR and marketing for TMFPD since the lift up of it, because you were, herding cats to try to get this whole thing put together. But I think it would be a worthwhile expense to say, this is your tax dollars at work, and maybe our mutual and auto aid issue, response time, expectations, et cetera. Because I think that if we don't brand and market ourselves to stand out from the crowd, we get kind of overseen and considered not as crucial. Hence my wanting to take us a step further in that golden hour and be the performers out here in those rural areas for people, that they get that same amount of care. And if we have to figure out a way to pay for it, let's figure it out.
Thank you for that, Madam Vice Chair.
And you can give digital things you want all day. I won't go look at it. Boring. I mean, I have Facebook to look at, frankly. So I don't have time, but I think this is their investment and something for them to be proud of, and especially seeing all the fire stations, et cetera. No, I don't think the average person puts it all together, and I just want our firefighters to be recognized for the role and goal that they perform in a difficult cost time and a difficult land mass that they're responsible for.
The automatic aid relationship with the city of Sparks that you mentioned is certainly noteworthy, and so I'll include that.
Yeah, but I want these to go to every taxpayer now that pays in our district.
I think that's a good point.
Thank you.
So certainly something we should look into as to what the cost would be to just mail it out to everybody. Commissioner Lucy, thank you, Commissioner, or Vice Chair John.
I absolutely 100% agree with the Vice Chair that this is really important information. And I think this is something that each commissioner, we often run into these questions about what we do. I mean, this talks about, our Christmas tree recycling, the green waste, the dispensable space. The one thing I would like to see, Chief, in here is, when we talk about the district map, obviously we'll change the picture out from the old the Station 14 Damani Ranch Station and put the new station in there. And we'll have to change it on the map, actually, the actual map location. But what I would like to show is that the coverage area for, and something on the map that shows what the coverage area is for each station. 36 is going to do runs to Verdi and Somerset area. 15 to all of Sun Valley and some of in response to the North Valleys, and just kind of show the overlaps for people so that they know when a station, what stations they may expect at their home. And so that when we talk about 36 and 14 here at the commission, that they understand who we're talking about. It's not just it took me 2 years to start figuring out the numbers. I can only imagine how difficult it is for those at home that don't realize how important it is. And so I would agree with the vice chair that this is absolutely 100%. And you know what, and the other thing I would add to this is a little bit more discussion about the volunteers as well.
Yes.
A little bit more meat to volunteer information about maybe who the chiefs are at each volunteer station, and a phone number for each volunteer station, and allow them the opportunity to participate. Because remember, we can't forget, as much as it is important that we continue to tout how important our professional staff, we need to continue to support our volunteer staff, because that's really where a lot of our, we get a lot of our, some of our new recruits come from our, from our volunteers. So that's what I would like to see, an increase on the map and what their coverage is. And then also but I would also agree, let's find the funding and get this out to everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucy. Vice Chair Jung, did you
One
have
more
something else?
question. Are all of our firehouses safe places in terms of if you unfortunately don't want your child anymore, that they can drop them off there? Is it like a McDonald's where they have the little safe place?
Yes.
Okay, can we put that in there? And then also, I know this wasn't very popular, but I'm not sure where it's even at. Are you also a safe, no, you're not, because you don't have, that's the sheriff's, where people can buy their stuff from Craigslist and meet at a safe place, but you wouldn't want that at a fire station. You have no protection. You could hose them down, I guess, but.
Yeah,
Okay, but I would like that, safe place to alert people if you think you're going to harm your child or you can't take care of your child anymore, that you can drop it off and we'll take care of it.
very good.
Thank you.
Good. Commissioner Hartung, something
Thank you,
else?
Madam Chair. And Chief, and now here, the photographer is going to step forward. I'm happy to fix the 15. I recognize why they flipped the image, but it'd take me 5 minutes to fix that for you, maybe
We
less.
actually flipped it on the door, but we didn't have time to flip the numbers.
I'd be happy to do that for you. It would literally take me no time at all to flip the badges and the number on the front and the badge on the front of the engine. And one of the things, we talk about funding this. If we do give folks like REMSA a small bit, maybe we can get them to fund a piece of it for us. Maybe they'll be a partner, and we might be able to get the hospitals like Renown and St. Mary's to fund a piece of it when they talk about how emergency medicine fits into the whole entire process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chief, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lucy.
One other thing I would say is that we constantly talk about, when we talk about fire prevention, and we have it a little bit in here about ash cans and smoke detectors, but we quite frequently, so you can come pick those up through the stations or request those. Maybe that's a piece of information that could be added in here about fire safety, about coming and get an ash can from one of our stations, where those stations would be, whether we identify certain stations for those to be picked up in the South Valleys and North Valleys, and what that would be and how they would go about getting something like that. So if that's a service we want to advertise in here as well.
And that is one of our big success stories. We've seen ash fires and oily rag fires diminish quite a bit in the last 2 years.
So if we could put something like that in this literature about how they could obtain an ash can or something of that nature, that would be great as well. Let's really make it informational.
Very good.
Good, thank you, Commissioner Lucy. Commissioner Hartung, did you have
Yes,
something else?
Yes, I do. And Chief and I, you know, as I look through this, I mean, I love this, but one of the things, and I know we don't want people to just contact the station, but if they do want an ash can, how do they contact these stations? And so maybe put the station phone number, but we obviously want, if there's an emergency, we want them to call 911.
Right.
And I don't see that in here anywhere, you know, like literally a single page, in an emergency, call 911. And I understand that people know that, but it would also be nice to just have that contact information. I call Station 17 periodically to, you know, find out certain kinds of things, what I need to do in terms of a burn permit and et cetera. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Commissioners, anything else? Okay. Chief, excellent. I think it's really good, and I like the suggestions that they're making, and I think we should look, where do we find the money to mail it to all of our people who are paying taxes, so they know what their tax dollars are doing. So,
We have a contingency line item, so we'll fund it out of that.
okay, good. Okay, Chief, next.
Next item is a Station 14 run card update. This was requested by Commissioner Lucy to show what changes will be made to our response areas now that Station 14 is moved. The hatched areas is where you see that Station 36 and 3601, it was formerly 14's in the old location. 14 responded to that, but now is closer to Station 36. And in the bottom of the map, 1602 is now closer to Station 16 on East Lake.
Okay.
And Commissioner Lucy also asked about the possibility of having Reno Station 12 responding to Geiger grade, because there has been about a minute and a half of response time degradation from the new Station 14 into Geiger grade. That is certainly possible, and Chief Cochran has asked me to meet with him over some changes that we may make in that. But I'm still concerned that the way our dispatch processes work, that the fact that Station 12 would be a minute and a half closer is negated by the fact that calling for mutual aid or automatic aid takes anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And so I'm going to segue into the next item with AVL update, but nevertheless, we can make that change, but fortunately, I'm not confident that it will make a difference in the response time to Geiger grade. But thinking about response zones 1402 and 1405, certainly 14 got a lot closer to a lot more property within the district. It's a lot closer to support Hidden Valley, and certainly a lot closer to support our other stations, both up and down the interstate. So that's why that location was picked. Nevertheless, I'm not sure how to deal with that other than engage the city, Reno Fire Department, about how we can continue to improve. So if there's no questions about that, I'll segue into the AVL update, Madam Chair, with your permission.
Okay, I don't see any questions, so.
So on May 10th, John Slaughter and I, the Sparks manager and Sparks chief, and the Reno manager and the Reno chief met to discuss AVL and where we were on trying to fix dispatch. I'm sorry to have to report that I've not been able to establish a relationship with the city to try to make closest unit dispatching work. And quite frankly, I have to be very blunt that it has stalled. And I cannot fathom a reason why this city of 2 municipalities in the county cannot agree that we would want to send a closest unit when somebody's having a cardiac arrest or a critical medical call. So it was explained to me in the meeting that, again, the issue is crew size, that the city has a problem with responding 3 people to one of their calls. I believe that that's not material to the outcome of a patient who's in cardiac arrest or respiratory arrest. because we often have an engine full of paramedics responding to calls, and in the case when we're minutes faster to somebody who's in cardiac arrest, that's a good thing for the public. And it's a bad thing to think that responding for people from a distance farther away is going to result in a better outcome for the patient. It's not. It flies in the face of medical science that says brain death occurs in 4 minutes. And unless we get to a patient within 4 minutes and we start chest compressions, that patient is going to die. That's just a medical fact. It's nothing that I could even argue. And it seems unconscionable to me that we can't, at least in very critical calls, move to a point where we're sending the closest unit. Do we need to send the closest unit on every single fire call? My opinion is no, because there are lots of calls that are simply not response time dependent. Nevertheless, the chief of Reno and the Reno city manager did mention that they're having some difficulties with their labor union over this issue. So my belief is that there's some issues that they will have to solve. Whether or not they can solve that, I don't know. But nevertheless, I'm very proud of what we've done with the city of Sparks to now do AVL. And we've proved that through our relationship with the city of Sparks, we're making this work. And it can work without a lot of controversy, without a lot of technological changes. It's working. And it should work between TM and the city of Reno. And I wish I could propel it a little bit farther along for you, but I simply have not been able to do that.
Thank you, Chief. A couple of things. Find it fascinating that the number of crew members would be interesting. I'm going to tell a story on myself. When I fell in the park and broke my ankle, the report they got was that an old woman fell in the park and broke her leg. And they sent a fire truck. It was a Reno park in the city of Reno. And they sent a fire truck with 3 firemen on it. And I said, "You only have 3 firemen today?" And they said, "Yeah, we're a man short." So it's okay when they do it. But, I must admit, I take a little offense at the old woman who fell in the park, but hey, that's the way it was reported to them. But they do send out fire trucks with only 3 people on them.
And in addition, Madam Chair, they also respond squads with 2.
Yeah. So I think that argument certainly doesn't hold water as far as I'm concerned. I think the other thing that concerns me is that I'm glad that we have the relationship we have with the city of Sparks and how well that seems to be working now. It seems inappropriate that all service people are not putting citizens first. And so I would ask you, Chief, have you sent, I know that you and the county manager, John Slaughter, were looking at sending a letter to the city of Reno. Have you sent that letter and have you gotten a response?
That letter has not been sent. I'd like to meet with Chief Cochran. He invited me to breakfast to talk about the Station 14 deployment, so I'd like to go through that and ask him again where we stand with AVL. But barring any progress in that meeting, then the letter will be forthcoming.
Thank you, and it is personally my position, and certainly the other board members might have a position of their own, but it certainly is my position that we must move forward on this issue of dispatch. It is the only thing that's really going to benefit our citizens, and I mean all Washoe County citizens. I don't just mean those that live within the footprint of Truckee Meadows, but also those that live in Washoe County, which includes both cities. And so we have got to move forward on this issue, and I'd really like to see some serious progress on it this year. So I'm hoping we'll be able to do that. Commissioner Lucy?
I have to agree. 3 years ago when I came onto this commission, we started talking about the issue of automatic aid, and we went through the whole rigmarole of going to the legislature, and we were able to get it for fire service, but never for EMS, and was something that was just too much of a challenge. Yet here we are today, still discussing AVL and the non-willingness to, whether it's a non-willingness or inability to get there But it's still a challenge, and I'm frustrated to see why we haven't been able to move this forward for the safety of our citizens. It just is frustrating to me that we constantly keep having this conversation. It keeps going around. We keep getting, Deputy Chief Gorka said he's astonished coming from Las Vegas, from the metro area where they are able to have automatic aid for EMS, and it works flawlessly down there. But for whatever reason, the city of Reno and it seems like Sparks and us are fine, and we can work together. But it just doesn't seem, for whatever reason, and it doesn't seem like it's on the front line either. That has nothing to do with the firefighters of the fire department. It has to do with the union leaders and it seems maybe the electeds. And I'm frustrated to see why we can't get this solidified, because it is just detrimental. And for my district, when you look at it, there's so much of my district that has city of Reno, and then also city. We respond from the Hidden Valley Station into City of Sparks and into the unincorporated. And we just talked about Station 14 having the marriage between the city of Reno and that between 12 and 14. There's a number of stations that we could benefit from, and so many lives could be saved. And if we just had got past whatever political or impasse or whatever it is that seems to be blocking this. But this AVL is not a solution. And so, whatever we need to do, Chief, I'm offering my time up and to sit with whoever we need to sit with to have that discussion, but because we need to move past this. This is just ridiculous that we can't have some sort of EMS and AVL response for all the citizens of the region. It shouldn't be about just whether you live in the city of Reno or not, or you have 3 men or 4 men. That doesn't make any sense to me. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucy. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief, how many paramedics do we typically have on a crew? At least one.
Minimum of 1, maximum of 3.
Okay,
And sometimes the battalion chief's a paramedic.
right. Same with the city of Reno?
No.
I see. Are our engines comparably equipped with things, with equipment, life-saving equipment?
Well, I'd say our engines are probably more equipped.
Do they have a Lucas II chest compression unit on each one of their units?
The city, no.
Yes.
We carry extrication tools on all of our engines. In Reno, they only carry those on the ladder.
I see.
But, there are, of course, differences across their response protocols and ours. And not all of their engines are paramedic, as I mentioned.
Okay. Well, what this speaks to me to is the need for what I've always called a flex crew, that interjurisdictional 2-man crew that moves back and forth and can be a first response in terms of medical calls. And if it's a fire call, the engine is responded, and then a flex crew moves in and they can call them a rescue. But the reason I'm calling them flex crews is because they would be interjurisdictional, and that would give us a 5-man crew.
I think that's a valid point, but the problem is that we have to somehow reach an agreement on dispatch. That has to be fixed.
Well,
That has to be fixed before any of the rest of this can really work.
Don't disagree at all, Madam Chair,
So-
but what I would tell you is if we had flex crews, it would, and this, I'll save this for another conversation, but if we had flex crews, we would have that response elsewhere, and it's a different style of response. Thank you.
Vice Chair John, did you? Next item. Okay, all right. Okay, I see no other comments. Chief, anything else?
No,
All
Madam Chair.
right. This was for discussion only, so we will move forward on, we'll move forward to number 9. Chief.
Actually, at item 8B, the Commissioner
Oh,
request dashboard, I just wanted to ask the Commissioners if there's
Right.
anything that you'd like to add to our
Commissioners?
task list.
Chief,
Vice Chair?
when we, I understand that all of our emergency response vehicles are equipped with naloxone, which is an opioid counteraction for potential overdose. When you disperse that drug, do you report that to anybody?
Chief Cameron says, no, we don't.
So how can we, so that's something else I'm going to need your help, and with the sheriff's department and anybody else. So I'm on the governor's task force for the opioid crisis, and that's some more data that we're not getting to truly get our hands around how we're going to help treat and prevent this. So I'll probably need a 3-hour rule there, and I'm probably going to, Mr. Slaughter, need a 3-hour rule on the Board of County Commissioners to talk to the sheriff about that, and anybody else who carries that. What did I say?
Mr. Watsfield?
2-hour rule. Do I say, I keep saying 3-hour, 2-hour rule.
Mr. Watsfield?
What
Oh,
is
I'm
he-
sorry, go ahead. No. Oh, okay, he's raising his hand, so I didn't know.
No, I'm looking at the agenda, and I'm not seeing where that necessarily fits in. I think it's probably more proper in in the announcements and requests at the end of the meeting.
He asked us to look at the dashboard and say if we had further direction for him.
Yeah, that's definitely something that should be on the dashboard. So,
Okay.
okay, thank you. Vice Chair Jung, did you have something else to add, or you, okay, good. All right, thank you, Chief. And, Commissioner Hartung.
I just wanted to tell Chief, thank you. Item number 4 on District 4, the information on flex crew options, and I want to keep that in the forefront, Chief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chief, we'll move on to number 9.
Item 9 is discussion and possible approval to create a position and approve a job classification and salary range for a fields management officer and authorize staff to submit to Nevada PERS for evaluation. Just a little background. This position would be a full-time fuels management officer who's going to be significantly involved in planning. We need to go through the entire county and reassess our wildfire zones. We need to do more fuels projects. We need to enhance the green waste project, and so they're going to be quite busy, but we're looking for somebody who has a level of expertise in this. And we'll also be speaking to 2487 about some issues within the job spec. And if anything were to significantly change from the job spec, we'd bring it back to the board, but nevertheless, there could be, I just want to let the board know that there could be some subtle changes in the job spec.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions, comments on this? I see no public comment on it. I'm looking for a motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Please vote on the screen, cast your vote on the screen, and then affirm your vote up above. Motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 10 is recommendation that the Board of Fire Commissioners approve quarterly requests for reimbursement from the Washoe County, Nevada OPEB Trust Fund to Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District for the cost of retiree health insurance premiums. If you need any background, Cindy Vance would be happy to give that to you.
Commissioners, do you need background on this? I see no one needing background on it. We have a motion and a second to approve. I see no public comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Please cast your vote on the screen and affirm your vote up above. Motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting. Chief, number 11.
Item 11 is discussion and approval of the property and liability and workers' compensation insurance proposal for the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District with travelers insurance to include data and security liability through National Union Fire Insurance Company, pollution liability through Great American, and excess earthquake coverage through Houston Casualty for 1 year, beginning July 1, 2018, for a total annual premium of $1,137,615, and authorized purchase of insurance based on the proposal. Mr. Brandon Lewis is here if you have any particular specific comments about the policy. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's a renewal.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I see no public comment. I'm looking for a motion. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Please cast your vote on the screen and affirm your vote above. Motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting. Chief?
Item 12 is discussion and possible approval of an agreement for sale and purchase in the amount of $950,000 for property located at 12300 Old Virginia Road, APN 140-010-04, commonly known as Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Station 14, and authorize the chair to execute the agreement and to perform all actions required of the seller as described in the agreement. This is a sale of the old station. We're out of it, moved out. I believe the sheriff has moved out, so it's currently vacant. I do believe that the county is going to try to harvest the old living units and take them to Gerlach. And I believe that they are working with Southtown to try to facilitate that, disassembling those units and taking them to Gerlach.
Okay. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to commend Commissioner Lucy. You may not realize, but we got more than the appraised value of this. He negotiated with the buyers and
I think so. I may need your help on that.
did a great job. Well done, Commissioner.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Hartung. That was undeserved, but, you know, it was because of the buyers and their willingness to work with us. I think they've been a wonderful party, and, you know, this has been a very easy transaction, and it's benefited both parties mutually. And I think they look forward to having the property, and we look forward to the opportunity to work out of our new station and better serve the community. So thank you, Commissioner Hartung. I appreciate the
Yeah,
the
well,
sentiment.
Bob, you know full well that you kept suggesting higher prices to them, and and again, thank you, Mr. Crater, also for to the buyers. We really appreciate it. It is it's much needed, and so we're very, very pleased. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung and Commissioner Lucy. Chief, did you have something else to add?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to clarify that the statutes normally require 2 appraisals, but for the reason that we had a public hearing, correct me, Mr. District Attorney, if I mess this up, we had a public hearing, therefore we only needed 1 appraisal, which we did obtain.
Okay. Mr.
That's correct.
Wasserman?
I'm sorry, that's correct. And then the board item recited that there were 2 appraisals, so it's really just a correction to the background portion of the board item.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Westphal. Commissioner Herman, have you had the opportunity to talk with, about the harvesting of the living quarters to go out to Gerlach? I know that was something that interested you before, so okay. So that's something I know you want to stay on top of, so
I
that's
just
very
was
important.
unaware of that.
Yeah, I'm glad, yeah. And, okay, any other commissioner comments? I have Mr. Ken Crater who would like to speak under public comment. Good morning, Mr. Crater, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you, commissioners. I would just like to thank the chief for all his hard work on this. And one thing you may not know is how hard we worked in the last month to resolve the environmental issues on the property, to eliminate any risk to the fire protection district and minimize our risk in purchasing this property. So thank you, Commissioner Lucy, and congratulations on new Station 14. What a great new asset for the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crater. We appreciate everything you've done for us on this. Okay, I see no more public comment. I have no other commissioner comments. I'm looking for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Please cast your vote on the screen, and then affirm your vote up above. Motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting. Okay, we will move on. Chief.
Item 13 is discussion and direction to staff on the possible expansion of Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District boundary to include areas of Palomino Valley and Rancho Haven, Red Rock, as requested by Board of County Commissioner Burke Bigler. This item, actually, we discussed some months ago, and as you look at the map, our northern boundary bifurcates Palomino Valley such that someone living on the north side of our boundary doesn't pay taxes to TM, and people on the south do, but they receive essentially the same service. So as a matter of tax equity, it would seem logical that we would include those areas north in the Palomino Valley area. And if the board wanted to give direction to staff, we would bring that back as a further action item. As I discussed with the chair, should we consider the Red Rock Rancho Haven area simply because it is somewhat proximate to stations 13 and 18, and we do respond there on a regular basis. would the board also want to consider expanding the boundary to include that area? It's a little less clear and perhaps a little less logical from a taxation standpoint of including them, and perhaps the board would want to have conversations with constituents in that area, but nevertheless, I put it on the agenda just for the reason that it would seem worthy of consideration. It would allow the district to support the Red Rock volunteers there financially. Right now, they're supported by the county, and that would, including them in our district, would certainly relieve county of that responsibility and put the Red Rock volunteers under TM, and we would be able to fund them at a higher level.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Herman? Is your microphone on?
I thought it was.
Oh, yeah, it is just,
Yeah.
get a little closer to it.
Yeah.
We're deaf on this end of the room.
I just wanted to say that I've been getting a lot of opposition from the areas that this would affect, so we'll have to have more discussions on this and maybe invite some of the public that has that question. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Commissioner Hartung?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief, do the rurals, would they pay a different tax rate? Or would it be exactly the same rate as, let's say, someone who is in Spanish Springs?
They would pay exactly the same rate.
Okay.
Thank you. Vice Chair John?
Mr. Chief, how many parcels are we looking at this time? Did you do a count?
I did not.
So I'll need that to make decisions
Madam
coming
Vice
back, and
Chair.
how much that would bring in. The other thing is, why aren't we looking at Gerlach? And Gerlach is rapidly growing. The Burning Man enterprise and the people that are part of that movement are buying up that town like heck and expecting to expand. So can you come back to with Gerlach evaluated with how many parcels, how much money, where would we put that money, what would it look like? But I don't think it's fair that somebody gets the same service across the street and pays zero.
I agree.
And the rest of TMFPD is subsidizing these people that aren't paying for it, and we're responding. So let's look at Gerlach too, and with the financial implications. Thank you.
Very good.
I know Chief is already working on Gerlach because we've had that conversation offline a couple of times, he and I, as well as he's talked to, I know, county staff on it. My personal opinion is that people who are getting the service should be paying for the service. And so I would like to see you bring it back, and I'm looking, I see Commissioner Hartung.
I just wanted to note, Madam Chair, that the people in Wadsworth already pay the tax, the same as everybody else. So there is some issues of equity.
Fairness and equity, I agree. I see no public comment on this issue, so I will bring it back to the board and ask for a motion to direct staff to bring forward the answers to the questions and all that were proposed. So I guess I'm making that motion. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Please cast your vote on the screen and affirm your vote above. Motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 14 is not necessary. Item 15, Commissioners, Fire Chiefs announcements. Just one announcement, final green waste day before, collection day before the fall, June 28th at Lemon Valley, 130 Nectar Street, and at Station 16 on East Lake Boulevard will be our 2 collection points.
Okay.
It has been, people have been dropping off even when we haven't had a collection day, which I'm excited to see, but it does make for a large pile. But we'll get to that momentarily.
All right, thank you, Chief. Commissioners? Commissioner Lucy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to do just a couple announcements. Wanted to acknowledge and thank, obviously, our Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District and our firefighters that helped out in Lemon Valley in the Upper Colony Fire We did send units and staff out there to help out, so we want to make sure that those gentlemen and those individuals that went out and worked on that fire get that recognition. So thank you for helping our neighboring counties. It's always important that we can provide that service. And then yesterday, obviously, if anybody lives in the South Meadows or got that wonderful text message from us, we did have a severe incident down south at the Washoe Lake Dam yesterday. It was a severe discussion, but I want to thank Truckee Meadows staff that were out there the night previous and during the day monitoring and helping the state with monitoring that situation and the county with monitoring that situation. And at this time have helped get that under control. So thank you for all the time and staff that you've helped out with getting that back on track. So once again, protecting the community, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucy. Vice Chair Jung.
Mr. Chief, I don't know if I've discussed this with you before, and I don't know what your policy is or what your bargaining unit says. But I'm wondering, with all of these fully staffed 24/7 firehouses, how come we're not adopting a cat for each of them through the Humane Society? And I know you're going to say people have allergies or whatever, but there is a great video, if you haven't seen it, on social media where this cat shows up at a firehouse and keeps coming back. It's not a Dalmatian cat. And it rides with them and takes baths. And I just look into it, see if it's a best practice. We are partners with the Nevada Humane Society. And there's something about having a pet that makes you want to go to work. And that's their house, too, when they're working for 48 hours. I just think it could increase employee morale or create a bunch of problems. I don't know, but I think it's a beautiful idea. So if you could look into it. Thank you.
You need to
Thank
meet
you, Vice Chair
the
Jung.
District Morale Officer, Henry. I'll bring him in here one of these days.
Commissioner Herman.
Back to our communications in the case of.
Your microphone, Commissioner.
It's on.
There, now it's
There we go again. All right, anyhow, back to our same thing that we've been mentioning for months and months and years, about the communications, that people are in emergency situation and don't get, the result is that they have to wait a long time in a very bad situation. So there was one incident this weekend that lit up Facebook like you would not believe. I don't know if you've been and seen it, but I think we're going to hear about it here in public comment. So just a heads up. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There we go. Chief, when were you going to announce Mr. Adam Mayberry's presence?
I could do that now. Adam, would you?
Adam is a fixture.
Come on, step up. Well, allow me to introduce Adam Mayberry, formerly the Communications Director at the City of Sparks. And in a partnership between the county and TM, we've hired Mr. Mayberry through a consultant contract. And so he's assisting us with lots of the communication needs. Yesterday was a good reason to have him here with the possible dam breach. So we're very, very glad to have him. He's assisting with social media. He's assisting in lots of ways. It really takes the pressure off of me, and especially the press calling my phone at 2 a.m., which I can now have Adam answer those calls.
I know how that is. Vice Chair Jung.
To say, Mr. Chief, I said this to you via text, but I'll say it here on the record. What a regional coup to have Mr. Mayberry here. And I can already feel the difference because he's all over nextdoor.com. And I belong to several of them because I have, a large, you all should.
Yeah.
And he's on top of that. TM is not soliciting donations because somebody was doing some fraudulent behavior there. And it's a whole different feel and modernization of our ability to communicate. So good coup, good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Totally agree. A real asset to all of us. So thanks for joining us.
One last thing, Madam Chair, if I
One
may.
last thing, Commissioner Hartung.
Yes, and if maybe if the board has an appetite for this, maybe it would be nice to give REMSA a placeholder on this agenda, maybe even just once a quarter, but, or once a month maybe, well, it's not once a month because we only have meetings once a month, but
Once a quarter, though?
once a quarter might be nice to just have them to be able to answer some questions about calls and responses and how they're interfacing. Thank you.
Excellent idea, Commissioner Hartung.
And-
Thank you. Chief,
and
could you?
Again, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Go
Madam
ahead,
Chair.
that's
No, I
okay.
just wanted to welcome Mr. Mayberry. He's been a longtime friend. I've known Adam for many, many, many years. He was a great asset to the city of Sparks. He went away for a short time. They did not decide to change that agreement. He decided to change that agreement, and then we got really lucky when he came back to our region, and he's with us now. So thank you so much, and welcome, Mr. Mayberry, and hope your family is well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Chief?
I just got a text message that I goofed on the date of the green waste. It's actually June 23, not June 28th. So
Okay,
sorry.
June 23.
Sorry that I misspoke. It's this, is it this Saturday? Yes, this Saturday.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It is. Okay. Seeing nothing further, we will go to our final public comment. Chief?
Public comment. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment?
Yes, I have two on the list. Ms. Tammy Holdstill.
Overhead, please.
Could we have the overhead, please?
Good morning, Tammy Holtstill, Lemon Valley Swan Lake Recovery Committee, for the record. This was posted out on Facebook on Sunday. It took 30 minutes for response to a resident out in Lemon Valley. That is unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Then you include when the fire department responded at 6:30 in the morning to that fire in front of my house, Ford Explorer. This was in the afternoon, actually evening. It was still there. If you look, you can see where the glass is in the one and only travel lane on a 2-lane road. This car sat for almost 24 hours. It didn't leave until 2 a.m. the next day after another resident in the middle of the night almost hit it. Unacceptable. Emergency services and response and cleanup has been unacceptable in the North Valleys. And why is it that everything has to be put out on Facebook to get Washoe County to respond? It's kind of interesting that your South Valley issue that you have with Washoe Dam was put out on Facebook, a state employee saw it and got the state involved before the county got involved again. Sickening. Thank you. And I'll give you it back.
Next is Mr. Sam Dene.
Our dam.
Start the clock.
Sam, DNA Dene, the heart and soul and the body and mind of Reno government. And I call myself that because I am. Is there anybody in this audience who's never seen me before or heard of me? Oh, there's one guy back there. Lucky you. This is a first for you. What are the chances? What we have here is a public comment for the fire department. And I don't want to belittle anything, but that the turmoil and the consternation about that Washoe Lake Dam yesterday was, and I don't want to belittle it, but it was little. That dam's about as big as that wall, that board over there. At any rate, and everything's important, but if you had given so much attention to the Lemon Valley disaster and that sort of thing, there would be you probably wouldn't have Tammy on you, bothering you all of the time. Anyway, that's, and I feel, You know, you have these deals where you give all these guys these great compliments. Oh, what a bonus to the community. This is so great. Why don't you have them come to the podium and tell them what these bonuses are doing? Tell them how much money they are making, these volunteers. As a matter of fact, I wear a button all the time. And I think every government elected official, every volunteer in the government, and every consultant and so on should have to wear a button just like this, but on the button, not their name, should be their salary. Their salary should be there when you see these people and you know what their salary is. I talk to people about the elected officials around here, and 1 out of 100 can believe that they make these bloated salaries they make for, and I'm not trying to be your curmudgeon, it's just a fact. The amount of money they make for coming down here 3 days a month, that's the only thing that the charter says they have to do. Come to these meetings. If they want to do other stuff, that's their business. But this, and I'm picking just on them. You bring these consultants in here and all these things, and then you say, oh, he's such a humanitarian. Oh, he's so wonderful. The only humanitarian, and almost the only humanitarian I ever see come to these podiums is me. Everything I do is philanthropical. I've never been paid for anything I do. It's true. I never have been paid for anything I do. And I haven't even been offered, because then I'd have to do what that person told me to do. I am a freelancer. I'm an honest person. If you believe what I do, I'm responsible for 92% of the good things about Reno, and that is the Lord's truth. One little thing as I close out is on the agenda. Why did you move on this fire department? You did it right. Public comment was right in the front. On the regular agenda, you have all the falderall before public comment.
Thank you,
These
Mr.
citizens
Dene.
should be able to see Sam in action.
Thank you, Mr. Dene.
I
Seeing
object
no
to
other
that.
public comment, we are adjourned.